Councilwoman Jones-Bell.
Thank you, Council President. I have some announcements I think are pretty important. We are, after her daughter toiled to get petitions signed and everything, finally going to rename William Street, Doris Langley Clark Way. I'm not sure if it's way or street or place or what, but it's going to be done on Thursday, October 10th, at the corner of William and Day at 5 o'clock. The mayor already consented to this date and time, and so I'd like whoever can attend to please attend. A lot of people knew her, so I encourage you to come out.
Give the date again, please.
It's October 10th. It's a Thursday at the corner of William and Day at 5 o'clock. Next, I just got this flyer when I got here tonight. It's about Obamacare. They want us to come out and talk about this. For people who don't understand what's going on with this insurance, it's Thursday, October 3rd from 6 to 8 p.m. Were you going to do this? It's just one of our things. So we're going to be at Lincoln Avenue for this, and that's 6 to 8 p.m. on Thursday, October 3rd, this coming Thursday.
Lincoln Avenue what?
Lincoln Avenue School.
Oh, I thought you were just going to be in the corner.
Hey, listen, whatever works. If people come to the corner, we do it from the corner.
And
it's okay.
This is discuss the Healthcare Act?
Yes.
Okay, Healthcare Act.
In addition, and I do this because my daughter-in-law's mom had breast cancer, so we walk anyway. Well, I walk when I can. And it's the same walk from Lincoln Park in Newark. So Orange is doing it this year. I'll let Tashami talk about it when it gets around to her. Miss Ruby Forney, I'm not sure because I haven't talked to anyone who is older than her, but she may be the oldest person in Orange. We gave her a small celebration Friday, also Monday and Friday. And a lot of people didn't show up. And to me, that's really a feat to get to be 103. I want to thank Councilman Abdul Rashid and Councilwoman Williams for contributing. We got a beautiful bouquet of flowers, and she was very grateful, very grateful. The Congressional Black Caucus was phenomenal. This was the first time I went in a few years. And it was mostly about education this time, for me anyway, and actually for Councilwoman Grant Butler also. Being educators, it was just really, really good to see the kinds of groups and people that turned out to offer mentoring and other special services to young black males, because our children are not growing up to be men. They're getting cut down before they're grown, before they're 18. It's been bothering me for a while, and all my militantism, I was kind of laid to rest. But when I heard and I saw what people were doing specifically for young black boys, it was just phenomenal and filled my heart. And it's something that anybody that's in education, or anybody that has a child or doesn't have a child, people that are concerned about the world should know about. The Kappas were there, the Qs were there, and a lot of other organizations, the World Youth Organization. It was phenomenal. Thank you.
Councilwoman Grant Butler.
No comments at this time.
Councilman Hassan Abdul Rashid.
Council President, through you to Ms. Stewart. No, Ms. Stewart, there was no consent to the way that the questions. I'm sorry. Hello? Council President, through you to Ms. Stewart, you had a question regarding, you're sure that the Council President had council consent in terms of the way the citizens ask questions and they're answered at the end, or the way they're answered now. To my knowledge, there was no consent. I'm sure Council President had good intentions, and each Council President tried different things to move the agenda, but I just feel that there's a disconnect, because if citizen A asks a question and citizen B asks a question relative to the same subject with a different question, citizen B may not get, citizen B may not get their question answered accordingly, but citizen A may get their question answered accordingly. And then it seems to me that there's more people, and this may not be a deal breaker, but it seems like there's more people hopping back and forth to their seat, yet the person that asked the question can't feel that they're not maybe, certainly it appeared that to some extent, I'm going to use you as an example, Ms. Gordon, Ms. Kathleen Gordon, I hope you don't sue me, but it seemed that you certainly didn't appear to have been satisfied. And so I'm sure Council President Williams had good intentions, but I just think that it's a disconnect, and that sometimes it appears that if Council President asked Marty Mays to come up and ask him a question relative to what she wrote down based on what Ms. Kathleen Gordon asked, then the Council President gets to ask a couple more questions based on the answer rather than the person that really asked the question. I'm not going to make a big deal about it. It appears that no other council members, don't mind this process, but I was wondering, Council President, can we poll if you don't mind, can we poll the council members and ask them particularly, if they'd rather do it currently as we're doing it or the way that it was done, which is basically, as long as the person asking the question doesn't exceed their 5 or 10 minutes, then I really don't see what the problem is. Could we poll?
Not at this time, Councilman Abdul-Rashid. I'll have a discussion offline.
Okay. Well, just for the discussion on record, I think that process, with all this sincerity, disconnect in terms of what the citizens want to ask when they ask their question. But, offline, if you don't want to change it, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. But certainly the council, to answer your question, was not polled. Council President, through you to Marty Mays, if he would approach.
Marty Mays, Director of Planning, DPW.
Mr. Mays, I got a call today on my council cell phone regarding a lighthouse, so I'm just going to give it to you like I got it. It's on the northeast corner of Frankfurt and Lincoln Avenue, Scotland Road. The pole number is E61760. That's the pole. The lamp, if you look up at the lamp, is 251. The light is definitely out. It was out the last couple of days. I did go by there, and so I just want to convey that to you. And
You said near Frankfurt?
no, it's on the northeast corner of Frankfurt Street and Scotland Road. It's out now as we speak.
Okay.
At your convenience, if you could follow it up with that, I'd appreciate it.
Okay.
Council President, through you to the Madam Deputy Clerk, I don't know if you have the bill that's in front of you, but okay, here we go. On page 2, top page, can't miss it. It says clerk employee training, $864. Introduction to municipal clerk duties. Is that you? That's
No, sir. That's Maggie. Miss Amir.
No, I know who Maggie is. Actually, I only think it's only one Maggie in this room, but thank you. Also, with respect to that, right under that, it says finance employee training, $220. Public Works Department employee training, $1,753. And there's a couple more inserts, which are, in the interest of time, if you have the bill list, you can find them. Is there a reason why we don't have names on this? And that question is for Madam Clerk, Madam Deputy Clerk, and the...
What page? I'm sorry.
That was page 2 for Public Works. I think that was brought up
Finance
at the
Committee.
last meeting about names being attached to the training.
I had asked, I mean, it seems like sometime we put names in and sometime we don't, so I was just curious, can there be an iron rule that when anybody takes any kind of training, regardless if it's $1 or up to several $1,000s, if there's enough information to put all the other relevant information, why can there not be a name? And I remember that you said at the last council meeting, the other question I had with respect to the 3 council members that took up a course, which I'll bring that up at another time, you said it was because that's the way you got the bill list. So how did you get the bill list regarding from the Public Works Department and the Finance Committee regarding to these entries?
My process is that directors have to submit a memo, either for themselves or their employees, detailing the training that they're looking to send the employees to. The trainings that the employees send need to be aligned with their current duties and responsibilities before the class is approved or disapproved. I instructed the finance office to remove the name of the employees based upon some complaints that we had gotten from employees feeling that they were being singled out by either members of the public or members of the council. And after talking with the law department about it, I said in order to avoid those issues of people feeling like they may have been retaliated against, etc., to remove the names of the employees from the caption of when it gets paid.
Even though it's the taxpayers that's paying for the courses,
If you did an Oprah request and you got it, you would get all the information of who the person is that's attending. It's just on the bill list, I just took that part
Yeah,
off.
I understand the Oprah request process. First and foremost, I'm not doing any Oprah requests. But what I'm simply saying to you is, if the taxpayers are paying for it, then I don't understand what the problem is. And if the administration has approved that it's in line with their duties and functions to better serve the taxpayers that's paying for the course, then how could that infringe on someone's insecurities?
Councilmember Rashid, I would direct you to the personnel policies and handbooks where it talks about working in a workplace environment that's free of harassment and discrimination. So based upon that policy within that personnel handbook, my duties and responsibilities is try to balance all those things out. So to avoid that and minimize those complaints, that's the decision that I've made. Again, if anybody from the public or any of you were to ask for the backup documentation, you would get the actual employee who it is that's attending, the actual class that they're going to, as well as the memo that comes from the director approving and recommending that the employees go to the class based upon the class enhancing their duties and responsibilities.
Okay. Based on the bill list of persons that's going to these said classes, engagements, could you give me all of those supporting documents relative to all of these inserts on the bill list?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Council President, through you again to Ms. Cooper, these are just briefly, I'm going to try to be real fast, these are briefly library items that I had mentioned to you at the last library board meeting that I haven't been in receipt of based on my package that I got. One, the library meeting schedule, you said that you would furnish that to me when we was at the library?
It was 3 items off the top of my head that I recall that you asked for, which was the library board meeting. You asked for a copy of a contract and you asked for bylaws. Unfortunately, our server has been down for 2 days now, so I have not been able to scan, email. Our telephone system is equally down as well. So those documents may be just waiting in a queue for you, that when the system gets back up and running, they may be sent to you. If they don't translate through, please contact me, let me know, and I'll happily resend them.
Okay, just for the record, it's the library meeting schedule. It's the attorney, his contract for the attorney for the library board. It's the minutes that, if the minutes could be provided to the clerk's office, would you as the acting BA and also as the acting president of the library board have a problem with furnishing the public minutes to the library board meetings so that, just let me finish, I'm a little slow here, so that they could be on the counter for whatever public person wanted to come for their consumption? Would that be a problem?
Councilman, when you attended the meeting the other day, you specifically asked for the bylaws, the calendar, and an attorney's contract. You're adding the minutes now. To my surprise, the library board, since I've been on there and coming to do research, they don't take minutes. So there aren't any minutes right now.
Okay, lastly, Council President, through you to Ms. Cooper, a couple of the library board employees came to me and said that there was an issue with their pay stubs. Now, I haven't looked at their pay stubs, nor have they offered to show them to me, nor do I want to look at them. But basically, it centers around, as you know, typically you get a check and you get a accompanying pay stub attached to it. The problem is, as they indicated to me, and I hope I'm not mispronouncing anything, misspeaking anything that they said, is that their check stubs don't indicate what deductions is being allocated to what. Basically, it's not a blank pay stub, but it doesn't have the normal information that they had several months ago. So they don't know if the pension is getting their proper deduction. They don't know if the loan that they got from whomever is being paid, etc. Can you comment on that to your knowledge?
Absolutely. If you recall at the library board meeting last week, we discussed as a board that the ADP, who is the payroll system for the library, we're having some challenges, a billing dispute with them. According to them, they are owed $1,800 dating back to 2012. That's before my tenure. My tenure being here as a board member, we've paid all the bills that was ever presented to us and moved forward. Because of that $1,800 that the ADP alleged that we owe them, they have locked us out of the system. So right now, payroll is being done manually. The employees have received a manual copy of all the deductions that takes place out of their paychecks. Furthermore, if employees were not having their loan service, their pension service, and whatever other deductions that some of them have that come out for their personal insurance policies that they have, or they may have other deductions with the exception of checking, savings, direct deposits, all those other payments have been made. If they had not been made, those people would have been contacted and they would have been locked out of the pension system for not making their loan payments and not having their pension payments made. In addition, it's important to note that the pension payments are made on a quarterly basis. We deduct the money on a bi-weekly basis, but that payment isn't made until the quarter date is due. So they would be correct. So if you take these last 3 months, we have been taking money out of their account, but that check won't go in until the end of sometime now. It'll go in now, any day now.
Where are you at with resolving the issue with the $1,800? Are you and the attorney for the library board in discussions with whomever is saying that you owe this money, et cetera?
Absolutely.
Just briefly.
Absolutely. According to ADP, they sent the backup documentation that I asked for via Federal Express to the library. I find that to be absurd since there's nobody there who could sign for a Federal Express payment unless they gave it to some Joe that just happened to be walking past. We've had them email us back the documents, and we're going back and forth because according to the Register for QuickBooks, there were payments made in 2012, so there's a disconnect.
Oh, okay. Lastly, Council President, through you to Mr. Meyer, if he's in attendance. If not, I want to go on the record. He asked, does any council member have the report relative to why the library was closed? And I want to go on record, as I did about three or 4 months ago, is that I am in possession of that record. With that, I conclude that report, the library report as to why it was closed.
Councilman Corbett?
Thank you, Council President. As we all know, the council worked very, very hard on the budget. And I'm very concerned about the city possibly going over budget. So my question is to Mr. Mapp. Has the administration adhered to the cuts that the council made to the budget?
At this point in time, to the best of my knowledge, and with the CFO sitting in the room, the council, the administration is operating within budget.
So you are telling me that you did make the necessary cuts?
When you say cuts, what are you talking about?
Areas where we made cuts to the budget. Go ahead.
Areas where you made cuts to the budget, we are operating within those numbers at the present time. So if a department had X number of dollars, we're operating within X.
All right. Thank you. Well, no, you need to stay. I got another question. This is the rumor mill, and I've been getting calls about the gas card. You want to explain that process? I mean, we have certain gas stations that we use our universal gas card to fill our vehicles with gas, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Has that bill been paid?
Yes, the bill was paid. At the time when I got word, I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday, that there was an issue, the check had been mailed out the prior Friday.
Okay, so we are now using the gas cards that we originally had from those gas stations that we are allowed to use it.
I can tell you that nothing has changed.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Meyer came up and expressed his dissatisfaction with the closing of the library, and I am in complete agreement that the library closing is a disgrace. Just as a fire truck that won't start when called during a fire, or a police car that stops running during a chase, or streets loaded with potholes, or wheels on the street sweeper ready to fall off, or crumbling buildings. It's obvious to me that someone fell asleep at the controls, and it's not targeted at this administration. These things were neglected over a good period of time, and we are trying to address those issues consistently, and the passing of that bond is critical to these issues, and that's all I'm going to say about that. There has been talk about the revow. Now, my home hasn't been touched yet. As of 2 weeks ago, no, I hadn't heard anything from this vendor who's doing the revow. So I went into the tax assessor's office, which I encourage everyone else to do if your home has not been inspected. And I indicated to him that I had not heard from the vendor. And that was 2 Fridays ago. And last Wednesday, I get a yellow knocker on my door indicating that they were sorry that they missed us, and they have scheduled a date to come out and look at my home. And I, for one, don't want a ride-by guesstimate on what the true value of the home is. I want an actual reading. I want someone to come in, measure the rooms, look around, see if there's any additional remodeling or anything that has gone on. And I'm suggesting to all of you that if you have not heard or seen any indication of this vendor coming by your home to do the inspection, contact the tax assessor's office. He needs to know this so that he can alert them to come by and inspect your home. Now, also to that, Council President, he indicated, and I think you may have had a conversation with him also, about coming to this council and doing a matter of discussion probably in November. I think that's when he indicated to me that he would like to come. Okay. All right. So with that, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Council President. I do have a comment.
Councilwoman Gordon Butler?
Okay, I apologize.
That's okay.
I need to speak with Director Mapp. Yes. This is about Ordinance 44, 2013, the electronic fees.
Yes.
Okay, so my question is, because the language is very vague and unclear for me, so tell me exactly what is being permitted in the ordinance, specifically?
Specifically, any person who wishes to pay the City of Orange using a credit card, that person pays the amount that is owed to the City of Orange plus a fee for the convenience of using his or her credit card. That convenience fee doesn't come to the City of Orange. That goes to the vendor who provides the service.
Okay. Okay. So now I'm clear about what the fee is about. My next question actually goes back to what Council President Williams was saying or stating with regards to the percentage.
Okay.
Now, why cannot there not be a flat fee?
It is very common, and this is the way it is with other municipalities that do this. It is based on a percentage. And at this time, that's all I can offer to you.
Okay. Because my concern is really this. I think that that's really a negotiating point. You can either get a flat fee or a percentage deal. And so I think that we really need to advocate on the best, in the best interest of our residents and constituents. So I think we need to go back to the negotiating board and demand that it's a flat fee. What's the difference? What's the difference in processing fee if you do $2 or $20,000? Same processing fee. So why should they get more?
I'm not a vendor. What I can tell you is that there are similar situations in other areas where there's a fee that's involved. For example, there are times when municipal courts, they contract with a vendor to go after the fees that are outstanding for whatever the violation might be. And the statute allows those vendors to charge from 0 up to 22%. And most vendors opt to charge anywhere from 20 to 22%.
Of course. That's more money in their pocket.
But it also allows for the expedited collection of those funds that are owed to the city.
And that's fine. But again, we're doing this, this is a convenience to residents, and certainly I think we should be acting on their best, within their best interests. And so again, I think we should go back to the negotiating board and negotiate something that is fair and reasonable, because charging for a percentage of whatever they're paying is not reasonable.
I think the assistant business administrator has something to offer.
Okay.
Council President, if I may, the 2.75% is in essence almost like a flat fee. You're paying a flat 2.75% of every transaction that takes place. Right now, the system that we currently have in place at the court, if you swipe your credit card and make a payment, they do not have that guaranteed payment system. So we're going to pay a little bit more for this, because this system will allow that the minute you swipe that or you run your check through, we're guaranteed to get our money. Under the system that we have now, I can't begin to tell you the number of bounced checks that we have that we need to go back and collect, because the system that we have now doesn't guarantee. So
Right.
the 2.75% fee that's being charged, that's the other way that you have to look at it, that we're guaranteed to get our money, and it's a convenience. Will everybody participate in using their credit cards to make their payments? No. But if you choose to do this, this is one way to ensure that the city will immediately get their money. This is not uncommon.
I'm not saying that it's not uncommon, but my point is that you can negotiate a flat fee or a percentage fee. And the process or the cost of processing, again, a $2 payment versus a $20,000 payment is the same.
Right.
So, in saying
Councilman
that,
Butler, I think you've made your point, and what I would ask, Mr. Matt, what normally happens is there is a comparison by municipality to show what the surrounding municipalities have done, and unfortunately that has not been attached. Or you could also show, going out to vendors, what the different price ranges were for different vendors, and none of that is attached as well. So is there any comparison that you can do for us to show what our surrounding towns are doing as well as what other vendors are offering? As opposed to, it's a very bland document.
Yes. We can
and
do
vague
that.
too.
Okay, so can we?
Yes, we have done that. That's how we came to the conclusion. We looked at several vendors. We picked the one that had the most palatable fees involved, because for us, the issue is, I want to ensure that we're getting instant payments. But right now, our system doesn't allow for that.
And just in closing on this, in essence, as the acting business administrator has indicated, The 2.75% is a flat fee. I think what I believe Councilor Butler is alluding to, there are some companies when you pay, for example, when you pay your utility bill, you pay $1.80 or something like that. And I suspect that's what the council is referring to as a flat fee. But oftentimes, that's way more than 2.75%.
And as I stated, and I gave I think the one in terms of the state, the one that the state, whatever vendor the state uses for motor vehicle, is just a $2 convenience fee. No matter what the ticket is, it's just that $1 or $2 fee that you would. So if you can just supply, I hear what you're saying.
We will do that.
Okay.
But we cannot compete, or you can't compare us with the state.
Because of value.
I'm not asking you to compete with the state. You're not competing.
But you're comparing us to the
No,
state.
I gave you an example, but
Okay.
this is not a competitive price for us because we're not reaping any benefits. This is vendor to vendor's competitive prices.
We've
So we
heard
need
you.
to see what vendors that you went to,
We've heard you loud
that
and clear.
brought you to this particular vendor. And as a matter of, that you might also know that the information for the vendor is not attached as well.
What would you like as far as the vendor is concerned?
Who is the vendor?
There are two vendors that are involved. The vendor that will provide the software, the vendor that will do the processing. One is Heartland and one is CityNet.
Okay. So I think we would like that information.
Whatever you want, we provide.
Thank you, Mr. Mapp.
You're welcome.
Citizens of Orange, I have heard you in terms of my style of address, having your comments addressed at the end. I will tell you that I seek to be efficient and timely, and that was one of my reasons for doing so. I will give long thought. By October 15th, you will see a process before you that either continues or changes. So just let me get some thought about it. I also just wanted to thank Councilwoman Jones-Bell for acknowledging Ms. Forney on her 103rd birthday. And I tell you, as I sat there and talked to her, and I'm always amazed by someone who reaches that age or reaches up in the age, but what was most remarkable is everybody that walked in the door, Ms. Forney knew their name, and she was like, so-and-so, do you want a piece of cake? How you doing? And what's going on? So she was in her right mind. She was very sharp. And then I'm always going into, I'm a history buff, asking you, the things that she has experienced from, say 103, so we just said born 1910, that, what she has experienced in that lifetime as a woman, as a black woman, there's just a lot that she has seen. So, but the most remarkable was her mind was very sharp and she had a great sense of humor. So I would even encourage that if you did not have the time, that you should still go by and say hello, speak to her. Which was probably a somber part for me, but what was, I guess, was still a point of rejoicing, that she was like, come on, get a piece of my cake, because this is my last birthday. And I'm like, no, we're going to be here next year. But she was like, no, but she's already resolved on the point that I've reached a point in my age, and if tomorrow doesn't happen, then as well. So I was very appreciative that she was appreciative for the moment that we're in right now. In terms of, I had an opportunity to attend the Congressional Black Caucus, and it's my intention to give a written report. As always, Orange has a community where we face a reentry population, and I'm very interested in planning for that reentry population and to make sure that we have programs that help them to reenter and not recommit, which is, people build prisons and institutions based on recommitting. So I always look forward that we, as municipal leaders, that we plan. And Congressman, just lost me, this other one out of Chicago. No, out of Chicago, no, it was Danny
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't think right now, but he's the author of the Second Chance Act or the Reentry Bill. And there's a whole track that starts from the first day of the legislative conference all the way up until the end. And I will be putting forth some of the models that they have going on throughout the United States. But some successful places that I was very impressed with was in Virginia Beach, Newport News, Virginia. Their sheriff's officer sat down and he was on a panel and talked about some prevention models that they use. And I was really, really, really impressed. And there was a program, Director Sims left, and it's called the Silver Citation Program. And it does give authority to the officer, which doesn't cause a buildup in your court system, but allows the officer who's actually on the street every day, who deals with people, allows them to make some decisions for a person who has never committed or it's actually the first chance, a second chance, to say, hey, instead of me locking you up for this, we're going to put you on a program, and it's a 12 to 24 month program. It kind of reminds me of our drug court, but as drug court is at the Superior Court level, so it kind of models it right there at the street and gives them an opportunity to deal with it immediately. So those were some of the things that seminars that I attended, and as I stated previously, I will give a written report so that I won't be long-winded now. I think that's it. I do want two more things. When is the breast cancer law?
It's
Is it October 20th?
the 20th.
October 20th. Okay, so more information will be coming out before that. But before we close our council comments, Attorney Dan Smith, you wanted to respond or make a remark? I'm sorry.
Thank you, Chair. In respect to Jeffrey Fell's comments that he claims were allegedly made by one of my attorneys, I checked into it. Mr. Fell's comments are untrue, and I shall be reporting back to this body for a further report subsequent to this meeting.
Thank you. And I think, that was it? Thank you. Clerk, move the agenda.
Okay, Council, we have ordinances on second readings and public hearings. Ordinance number 41, 2013, an ordinance amending Chapter 4 of the Municipal Code of City of Orange Township entitled Administration of Government Dealings with the Presentation of Items to the City Clerk for inclusion on the agenda at City Council meetings.
Is anybody from the public that would like to be heard? Mr. Fell?
Jeffrey Feld, local business person at 268 Main Street, Orange, New Jersey. There's really 2 points I really want to make. It seems, as to the timeline, we're returning to where we were, I think, about almost 6 years ago, where the agenda, all the materials had to be there by Wednesday. By the Wednesday, the agenda would be given to the council on Friday. Originally, you amended it because the council at that time demanded more time to review all the documents. So I don't know what caused the change by the council. Do they need less time to review the documents? In addition, there's additional language added to Section 4-11 of the proposed ordinance, where it allows every council member to walk on items. If you look at the Orange Administrative Code, the Orange Administrative Code acknowledges and recognizes that the Open Public Meetings Act controls. The Open Public Meeting Act talks about an agenda being published at least 48 hours prior to the meeting. Mr. Myers alluded to questions as to whether your notice is proper. I urge this council to review some of the recent cases that are coming out. Justice Holmes, I think in the last 90 days, talked about what constitutes adequate notice. On Monday, there was an appellate division discussing what constitutes adequate notice. But they want people to have the chance, if they see what's going to be on the agenda, and something's not listed, and it's non-emergent, the way I read the Open Public Meetings Act, you can't consider it. Because the way I read this ordinance, what existed before, come based on the amendment at noon on the Wednesday prior to the meeting, the agenda will be set. And it says, the next sentence says, any materials submitted after that is late will not be considered at that meeting. That's what it says, shall. Shall is a mandatory term. And to allow someone to say, I want to work on something, besides violating the Open Public Meetings Act, you also have to remember the United States Constitution, the state constitution, due process. Because that's what we're really talking about. Giving people reasonable notice and an adequate opportunity to be heard. Those are principles that are embedded in our constitutional law. And I think by saying that someone can walk on something that's non-emergent, because the Open Public Meeting Act deals with emergent matters, and there's a policy here, that if you come to a meeting and something is an emergent, you announce at the beginning of the meeting, the body's going to consider this emergent matter and allow people to give comment on it. Because that's one of the problems we're having, that a lot of times after citizens' comments are done, we hear we're going to suspend the rules and bring out things to vote without any people hearing it. And that's one of the problems that we're going to have, that we had with the capital bond ordinance. So I caution you that if you're going to approve it, that you understand that 13 is that noon on that Wednesday, it's a deadline. Anything filed after that time will not be considered unless it's emergent, and also there should be a time when the public knows that they will be able to go to the clerk's office on Friday, because it doesn't say when the packet is going to be delivered to the council on Friday or when the public can look at it. Because there is another body, a group of people who are interested in this, and they have a right to a reasonable notice and opportunity to be heard. And I think you should consider that, take that into account. It may strike the language, because you also look who signed off on the ordinance. The ordinance is not being signed off by our city attorney, it's signed off by an assistant city attorney. Thank you.
Anybody else from the public?
Motion to close.
Motion by Councilman Corbett, second by Councilwoman Jones-Bell. There, motion for final adoption.
Move.
Moved by Councilman Corbett, second by Councilwoman Butler. On the motion,
Council President.
Councilman Marable.
Mr. President, who is the sponsor of this?
The clerk, deputy clerk.
There is no council person sponsoring this? It really does represent going full circle, but perhaps not even as good as we started. There was something in place in 2006. It was amended in 2008. It was amended again in 2010. It was amended again in 2010. That's the legislative history of it. But the problem is not what's in place. The problem is adherence to it. You can put whatever schedule you want in place. If people are not providing the documents by the time decided upon, it all falls apart. My concern is that I thought, and I remember vividly Councilman Abdul Rashid commenting on this years ago, if you don't get it until Friday, and I agreed then and I agreed now, it's insufficient time to be prepared for the council meeting. I don't know what delivered to all recipients on Friday means. None of this has ever been hand-delivered. It means put in your mailbox, and if you cannot get to City Hall by the close of business on Friday, you don't get it until the following week. It's just not enough time. I will agree fully if the clerk has a concern, there are some things that need to be hammered out. But I don't think going back to this is the answer. It doesn't give us enough time. You may not get it until a day and a half before the meeting. It's just not sufficient. Thank you.
Any other council members?
Council President, the only thing that I would chime in and say is, and I've been adamant about it, and I think you have too on occasions, about the walk-on items. And we have to be accountable to that. And we can no longer accept items being walked onto the agenda that aren't emergency situations. And I'm just asking that we be adamant about it, be serious about it, and stop it. Okay, it's not fair to us, and it's not fair to the citizens, so it has to come to an end.
Just make a comment that I do agree that timing, but even though we had amended it back in 2010, unfortunately, this is the schedule that we follow, that we're seeking, the clerk is seeking to amend the code right now. Is what we follow is by Wednesday. I believe there are a number of reasons for the Wednesday, and I would probably say that probably the biggest reason is the bill list, because that's the last document that hits the agenda, just because that's a working document up until that point. But, and I get it, it's probably shaping people into a practice of doing things different, but the fact is that everything is to the clerk by Wednesday, and you know the agenda is finalized, and that's just kind of the and I know actually since I've sat in this presidency, I have even asked that not to wait until Wednesday, to give the documents, you know, as you get them, when the documents, and that has started picking up people as the documents that they have. If they have them tomorrow, they'll hand it into the clerk's office, but I think the bulk comes in that Tuesday and Wednesday. So it is one thing to memorialize a document, but we memorialized it in 2010, and the fact is that this is what we've been doing since 2010, which we're seeking to do right now.
Well, Council President, I don't want to interrupt you. As long as you acknowledge what we've been doing has been illegal. In other words, that's not what the law has provided. We may have acquiesced to that schedule, but we've not been doing it in accordance with the laws that we've created. So that doesn't make it right. It means that that's what we've acquiesced to.
Exactly. So, and I don't know, you know, if we can, you know, from the administration offer. And it's in the clerk, and it's in these council members as well, to hand in documents, because in actuality, the way it's written in now, tomorrow's, the 15th meeting would already be planned, that agenda would already be planned by today, I think, that if we... Tomorrow. So, it's something that, I don't know, I mean, and the walk-ons, I think it's just actually because it is allowed, but it is something that we have consciously, you know, the code allows it in emergent matters, and I think that it has been raised enough that everybody is, but it does allow for it so to put in there, just to let you know, but I think that we all are aware that this is something that we're not doing.
Yeah, well, you know, like, I'm in agreement if it's an emergency, but outside of that, forget it.
Okay.
Well, and Council President, for the record, this doesn't preclude that from happening still. It's not a defense against that happening. It just means it'll happen in a tighter window.
It just means that the council has to be aware of it and stick to its guns and don't allow it to happen.
That was always the case.
Walk-ons, that's what I said, it's something that is allowed by code, but also that what we have tried to do, if there is a walk-on, we have tried to put the items out at the beginning of the meeting, so that citizens can have as much information as possible. We have tried to do that. Any other comments? Roll call.
Councilmember Abdul Rashid.
Not in favor.
Councilmember Corbett.
Yes.
Councilmember Easton is absent. Councilmember Grant Butler.
In favor.
Councilmember Jones Bell.
Yes.
Councilmember Marable.
No.
Council President Williams.
Yes.
Okay. Motion passes. Yeas 4, nays 2, absent 1. The next ordinance is Ordinance 42-2013, capital ordinance appropriating $325,000 received from the Department of Community Affairs, Urban and Rural Centers, unsafe building demolition bond loan program to pay for the demolition and disposal of unsafe buildings in and by the City of Orange Township in the County of Essex, State of New Jersey.
So Anybody from the public would like to be heard?
Kathleen Gordon. I just need some clarity about this. This ordinance to appropriate, the name of the this money is Rural Centers Unsafe Building Demolition Bond Loan Program. Have we had an ordinance previously to accept the loan? Is this a loan, or this is just the name of the program that it is a loan? Is it a grant? Could somebody explain it, please?
Mr. Matt?
This is indeed a loan that came to us, I believe. This is a loan that came to the city, I believe, on or about March of 2012. It's a demolition loan, and the only way that the money can be spent is by an ordinance. It is not a grant, it's a loan, and these are very common throughout the state, and this is the process. It's the only way for us to be able to spend the money.
Okay.
So then is this the ordinance to accept the loan, or has there been a separate ordinance to accept the loan, and this is just the ordinance to appropriate it? I did not get this answer.
Mr. Matt, Mr. Mays is asking. Mr. Matt, Mr. Mays is asking.
Marty Mays, Director of Planning and DPW. This was accepted May 1st, 2012 by Resolution 100-2012. This is the demolition loan bond. This is common throughout New Jersey. This is the 4th year of the program where you are allowed to use this money for demolition, and this is something that definitely needs to be passed tonight based on the city not acting on it in a timely manner. We are in danger if this is not passed tonight. Essentially, yes, this is a loan. The loan is for the term of 10 years at 4%, and is very, in my opinion, very needed in the city in terms of the amount of fire damaged and burnt out buildings that we have. This is something that I would consider to give us a shot in the arm by the way of demolition. Although, as many of you are aware, we have demolitions ongoing on a regular basis. Essentially, all of the fires that took place this past winter, all of those buildings have been demolished except for one. So we have demolitions taking place. We fund the demolitions in various manners. Sometimes the banks that own these properties reimburse us for the demolition. Most of them are done on an emergency basis, but this would allow us to actually have a plan for some of the worst properties in town. I don't know what other questions you may have.
Okay, so this is a loan, and this is a bond loan. We have accepted it. We haven't used it. Is this amount, this $325,000, part of our debt obligation given to the Finance Board?
I feel let the bond counsel come up and answer that.
Mr. Johnson?
Edward Johnson, bond counsel from law firm Lawrence Goldman and Spitzer. The answer is no. This has nothing to do with the bond ordinance that amount to local finance.
No. She said, is it part of our total indebtedness?
I thought you said it was a part of the ordinance that amount to the bond.
No.
So I'm sorry.
Repeat the question for me.
You got to come to the mic, Ms. Gordon, I'm sorry.
If, since it is a loan that has been accepted but not appropriated, is this amount part of our debt obligation accounted for, sent to the Finance Board?
It's a capital ordinance, so there's no borrowing associated with this ordinance as drafted, so the answer is no, there is no supplemental debt statement. No, I did not say that.
No, Mr. Feld.
The answer is no. It's a capital ordinance, it's not a bond ordinance.
Thank you. Do you have another question, Ms. Gordon?
No, I'm just trying to make it absolutely clear that so we have actually debts that are not part of the, not accounted for this is still a bond, if I understand, and it is not part of the total bond obligations that is accounted for. Thank you.
Okay.
Jeffrey Feld, my head's spinning a little bit from what Mr. Mays just said about 4 minutes ago. They used the word loan, interest payments. And the question is, if we had additional debt service, was that additional debt service taken into account when we did our calendar year 2013 budget? Considering that just on the dates that we just heard, that this loan was given to us, this obligation we knew about in 2012, we're accepting it today in 2013, we have to repay the loan. That means you have to pay back the money, the principal, plus we have to pay interest. And I think the question, and Ms. Gordon's been referring to, has that additional debt service, because I think that's the word we have to look at, the additional debt service, been reflected and told to the council when they adopted the budget, and has it been reflected in our supplemental debt statements? Because the question is, what is our debt? What is our obligation? It's just heard, I think just now, that we have another obligation that might not have been disclosed to taxpayers.
Mr. Matt?
This will become a debt obligation of the city upon the adoption of this ordinance by the governing body. We don't have $325,000 from the source. We don't have a debt at this time. Once you adopt this ordinance, and it's not a bond ordinance, it's a capital improvement fund. It goes into our capital improvement fund. And as soon as we get the money, upon your adoption, then the clock begins to tick from that point. There was no reason to put this in the budget, and so the process is in motion.
So when and if, okay. When and if, okay.
Yeah.
It goes, okay. Are there any other questions from the public?
Motion to close.
Motion by Councilwoman Corbett, second by Councilwoman Jones-Bell. All in favor? Aye. Motion for final adoption?
Move.
Motion by Councilman Corbett.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Jones-Bell on the motion. Seeing none, roll call.
Councilmember Abdul Rashid.
In favor?
Councilmember Corbett.
Yes.
Councilmember Easton is absent. Councilmember Brown Butler.
In favor.
Councilmember Jones-Bell.
Yes.
Councilmember Marable.
No.
Council President Williams.
Yes.
Okay. Motion passes, 5 yeas, 1 nay, 1 absent. The next 3 ordinances are tabled from August 7, 2013, in regular meeting. Ordinance number 22-2013, an ordinance setting forth an employee tuition reimbursement policy and guidelines of the city of Orange Township.
Is there a motion to remove it from the table?
I haven't finished
No,
reading
that's
it.
what it says. It must be removed. Is there a motion?
We have a motion to move it from the table?
The next one.
Okay. Ordinance number 3220-13, a bond ordinance providing for various capital acquisitions and improvements by and in the City of Orange Township and the County of Essex, State of New Jersey, the city appropriating $9,826,000, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $8,935,500 in bonds or notes of the city to finance the cost thereof. Motion to lift from the table?
Move.
There's, I heard a move. Is there a move? I didn't hear. Is that you?
I said move.
Moved by Councilman Hassan Abdul-Rashid. Is there a second? Seeing none, move the agenda.
Next ordinance is 37213, an ordinance setting outside employment guidelines for the City of Orange Township and amending and supplementing Chapter 23 of the Municipal Code and the appendix titled City of Orange Township Employee Handbook of Personnel Policies and Procedures.
Is there a motion to remove from the table? Seeing none, move on to the agenda. I'm sorry.
Okay. The next group of ordinances, introduction and first readings. We have ordinance number 44-2013, an ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 88 fees of the Code of the City of Orange Township.
Can I make an appeal to the administration, if you would be so kind to remove it? If not, you can tell me, and just attach the necessary documents that the council has asked.
For ordinance number 44? That's fine. We'll move it to the next agenda.
Okay, and just so we're clear, what I would ask is that if you can give the surrounding towns, assuming the surrounding towns have this service, can you give their fees, and then can you give the vendor like a sheet that shows a comparison of how you got to this vendor?
Council President, so is the administration is removing 44?
Yes.
Okay, I couldn't hear y'all.
I'm sorry, they're removing 44-2013. And just before we go into the consent agenda, I believe we can still move forward with 329, or do we have to remove that too, Mr. Matt? Can we move forward with 329? Because you're requesting permission.
I would suggest that you move forward with this. You can still establish a dedication by writer.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Okay.
Council President, may I ask a question about one of the ordinances that was not lifted from the table?
No, it was not lifted from the table. No discussion can be had. Consent agenda, Ms. Smith.
Okay, we're up to...
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
Either to you and or my other colleagues, even though the 32-2013 wasn't lifted, hence we didn't have any discussion. I'm just asking you, you do have, as the council president and or with the consent of the council, you and or we do have, I mean, we could, if we so desired, could have a ordinance if somebody wanted to make comment on it, regardless if it's 32-2013 or if it's 00-2013. If somebody wanted to comment on it and they felt that it was some relevant information, you and or the council could allow them to speak. I'm just saying could, regardless if we do or not. I'm saying in the world of legalities, even if Mr.
On a table ordinance, if the matter is tabled, there's no discussion. If it's not a table ordinance, there could be discussion. But if we're talking about a table ordinance, Councilman Abdul-Rashid, there can be no discussion.
When you put it like that,
consent, can we move forward to consent agenda?
Okay, we're up to item number 11. All items listed with an asterisk are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussions of these items unless a council members so request, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered in its normal sequence of agenda.
Council members, is there anybody that would like to remove something from the... Councilman Hassan Abdul-Rashid?
331-2013. And also 333-2013, I conclude.
Mr. Johnson, no, Mr. Johnson, I'm sorry, Mr. Johnson, can you wait for a second? 331-2013 and 332-2013?
Correct.
Any other?
Is that 333?
331-2013 and 332-2013.
Council President, 334-2013.
Council President,
Councilwoman Butler,
329.
329. And 333-2013 has to be removed and amended. So, 333.
333. Removed.
It has to be removed and amended. Okay, so consent agenda.
Okay, consent agenda.
Do we have one?
We got two.
Yeah, right. 327-2013. 334 dash...
No. 327, 328,
And 328 dash...
330.
328. 330?
The consent agenda, we are voting on the consent agenda.
Excuse me, Council President, was 332 removed also?
Yeah, so we're voting on the consent agenda. 327-2013, 328-2013, and 330-2013. Is there a motion to...
Second.
Motion by Councilman Corbett, second by Councilwoman Jones-Bell. All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Any opposed? Those three, 327, 328, 330. Now we're moving by the individual ones. 329-2013. A resolution requesting approval of the Director of the Division of Local Government Service to establish a dedicated trust by rider for electronic receipts pursuant to NJSA 40A:4-39. On the motion? I'm sorry, is there a motion?
Move.
Moved by Councilman Corbett, second. Second by Councilwoman Butler. On the motion.
Council President, is this not complementary to the ordinance that we just removed?
She can't, the audience, is it complimentary?
Yes.
It's complimentary, but we're just asking, can we do it? 44 is requesting approval, but 44 is actually establishing the means to do it. But so we were going, that's why I asked, do we still need to, because if we have to ask for approval, we have to go to local government services process.
Right, but doesn't it just make sense that we wait to do them so we're not putting the cart before the horse?
We're
Because
not,
what if the other one
because
never
it's a process.
passes?
It probably will still happen at the same time because this happens, this takes a month to happen. And when's the next,
15th.
the next meeting for the local, does this, Mr. Knapp, does this have to be put on the agenda and then it has to be approved, or we just send it down and they just yes or no it?
Right. This is not approved by the local finance board. This is approved by the Division of Local Government Services.
Right.
And so it doesn't have to go on an agenda. This will be reviewed by a staff person and will be...
But in all, it's not us tonight. You have to send it down.
Yeah, it has to go down. It could take 3 weeks. It could take 4 weeks. And so whether or not you approve the ordinance as it was presented, or if you approve it with changes, you will still need this dedication by rider, because this is where you will bank the money and you will make the disbursements of that fee from this particular trust account. So the only way you don't need this is if you decide not to accept credit cards.
Ms. Cooper?
And if I may add, The issue of the credit card system that we're going through is being implemented because taxpayers have asked for it. Because they have to take days, times off work to come pay their bills. So this is being asked for by the constituents.
And I concur that. I know that it's been something that they've asked, we've asked, and I will say the reason that we haven't done it in a long time is because of this conversation that we had, because it's a very costly process. But citizens have asked for a while, but this is just a process to ask if we can do it. It's not doing it. But it's the will of the, I mean, this is, I believe, what dictates if we can do it or not, the ordinance. This is just asking. But it's the will of the council, so.
I say let's vote.
Well, thank you, council.
You're very welcome. My pleasure.
Council, roll call.
Councilmember Abdul Rashid?
Favor.
Councilmember Corbett?
Yes.
Councilmember Easton is absent. Councilmember Grant Butler?
No.
Councilmember Jones Bell?
Yes.
Councilmember Marable?
Yes.
Council President Williams?
Yes.
Passes. 5 yeas, 1 nay, 1 absent.
And we're moving on to 331-2013, a resolution of the City of Orange Township in the County of Essex, New Jersey, authorizing the execution of a professional service contract. Is there a motion?
Move.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Corbett, second by Councilwoman Jones Bell on the motion.
Council President, through you to Ms. Cooper. Ms. Cooper, it just, it's no biggie, but just for the wording of, like, it says, et cetera, then it says of a professional services contract. We couldn't put in there, I mean, I know we can't put everything in there. We couldn't just put the person name, because if I'm in the audience looking at it, I'm just like, well, it's just nothing there even to make the mind try to
I
grasp.
agree. In the future, I'll make sure that the the vendor's name is included in the caption. I agree.
Right, just something, right, to give the citizens something to work with. Thank you. I conclude.
And it's for the records, it's for the Value Research Group, LLC.
Yes.
Any other comments? If not, roll call.
Councilmember Abdul Rashid?
In favor?
Councilmember Corbett?
Yes.
Councilmember Easton is absent. Councilmember Grant Butler?
In favor.
Councilmember Jones Bell?
Yes.
Councilmember Marable?
No.
Council President Williams?
Yes.
Okay. Passes 5 yeas, 1 nay, 1 absent.
We're moving to 332-2013, a resolution authorizing the City of Orange Township to enter into a cooperative pricing agreement. Is there a motion?
Move.
Moved by Councilman Corbett.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Jones Bell. On the motion? Seeing none, roll call.
Councilmember Abdul Rashid?
In favor?
Councilmember Corbett?
Yes.
Councilmember Easton is absent. Councilmember Grant Butler?
In favor.
Jones Bell?
Yes.
Marable?
Yes.
Council President Williams?
Yes.
Okay. Passes. Five yeas, 1 nay. Oh, I'm sorry, 5 yeas, 1 absent.
Oh, so 6 and 1.
No, that doesn't.
6 to 1. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Moving
6 yeas, 1 nay, 1 absent, sorry.
Moving to 333-2013, a resolution approving the bill list for council meeting vote on October 1st, 2013, dated September 25th, 2013, approving checks issued by the finance department in accordance with ordinance 2-95, grand total $1,501,390.61.
Move.
Moved by Councilman Corbett.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Grant Butler. On the motion, we've had a request for administration to remove a fee from page 1. And that will be at the bottom for the refund of legal fees in the amount of $7,780. So if we could remove that and amend the cost, and while we're calculating that, had a request from the law department.
Okay.
So what I would, gotta calculate this. Anybody got a calculator? One second.
Council President?
Who called? Councilwoman Dunbar?
Are
Yes.
we still on motions?
Yes.
I'd like to make a request or an appeal to the administration to return to the practice of putting the names of those who are doing employee training back on the bill list.
I would ask that, since it became a legal issue, I would ask that you have a discussion with the legal department, and then we go from there. So, is anybody doing a calculation other than?
My total comes to $1,493,610.61.
That's what I got. $1,493,610.61. So I ask that we amend and adopt the bill list to approve a grand total now of $1,493,610.61.
Say it again, I'm sorry.
$1,493,610.61. Is there a motion to amend and adopt?
Motion to amend and adopt.
Motion by Councilman Corbett, second by Councilwoman Jones Bell. Roll call.
Councilmember Abdul Rashid.
Not in favor.
Councilmember Corbett.
Yes.
Councilmember Easton is absent. Councilmember Gobb Butler.
In favor.
Councilmember Jones Bell.
Yes.
Councilmember Marable.
No.
Council President Williams.
Yes.
Passes 4 yeas, 2 nays, 1 absent.
Council President, when we finish, I have a comment.
Okay, we have one more.
Oh, no, I beg your pardon.
Moving to 334-2013, a resolution to insert a special item of revenue in the calendar year 2013 budget for Hurricane Sandy Disaster National Emergency Grant.
Move.
Is there a motion by Councilman Corbett, second by Councilman Abdul Rashid on the motion? Seeing none, roll call.
Councilmember Abdul Rashid.
In favor.
Councilmember Corbett.
Yes.
Councilmember Easton is absent. Councilmember Gobb Butler.
In favor.
Councilmember Jones Bell.
Yes.
Councilmember Marable.
Abstain?
Council President Williams.
Yes.
Okay. Motion passes, 5 yeas, 1 abstention, 1 absent.
Councilman Abdul Rashid.
Council President, through you to Mr. Harris, I don't know if the City Attorney, Mr. Smith, wanted time. And obviously, I forgot the ordinance at this moment. But the one that was tabled, I realized that what I'm saying is that if we're going to go by the rules, then I just think that we have to go by the rules. What's applicable all the time. By that I mean this. Okay, the motion regarding the bond ordinance wasn't lifted. Fine. And then I asked, something is important. It wasn't lifted, so we weren't going to vote on it anyway, and that's fine. It was no second. But since the council president, and more importantly, or just as importantly, in this particular circumstances, the will of the council, the discussion there's no discussion on the motion, but that doesn't mean that the remainder of whatever time is on the city council, that nobody can make comments relative to something that didn't get lifted. I mean, that's like saying, hey, nobody can't talk about it. So, I mean, you know, if it wants to fall under Robbins rules, legality, or whatever, or just common sense, I just don't know why, if the acting BA and/or even if it was a council person, at the end of the day wanted to have, perhaps it had to be something relevant. It wasn't lifted, so we weren't going to vote on it. But just to say that we can't talk about it. I mean, what's the legality behind that? And through you to Mr. Harris, I would like to ask you, I don't know if you heard what transpired, but there was a motion to lift. Something was tabled. And so the question was there a motion to lift? So I made a motion to lift. There wasn't a second, so obviously, hence, you know, it wasn't going to be voted on. So I asked the council president, through her position as the council president, and in conjunction or with the consent of the council, could we allow the acting BA to comment on it, whatever she was going to say. And so the council president said, no, there's no discussion. So I'm saying, you mean to tell me that that nobody in this room can't say anything relative to something that's tabled? You can't discuss it on the motion, but like somebody can say something about it. I mean, what's the legality of the position that nobody, you bet you can't say nothing else about it? I mean, isn't that only on the motion? That's not to say that the council president can't say, okay, you know, BA, I'm going to allow you to comment. Okay, council member, I'm going to allow you to comment. And, or more importantly, or just as important, what if it's the will of the council to say, okay, well, we want to hear X, Y, and Z? You mean to tell me nobody can't say a vowel sound pertaining to something that because it wasn't lifted?
To my knowledge, Councilman, and I'll get with Mr. Smith on this, but to my knowledge, I don't think there's anything in the council, either in the code regarding the agenda of the meeting or the rules that address it. It's actually silent. So in that instance, you know, I might defer to the council president, but like I said, I'll check with Mr. Smith about the legalities of it. Like you said, it might be a Roberts Rule issue or something to that effect.
Right, but I'm saying, this is my last comment. The converse to that is this example. Could the council president and or the council have said, even though it wasn't lifted, and there's no discussion because it wasn't lifted, couldn't it, and then we were getting ready to move on, and I asked the council president, can she allow, or the council, if it was the will of the council, to allow the BA to give some comment on it? Could that have been done? I mean, just yes or no. I mean, the council president or the council couldn't say, you know what, okay, we're going to allow her, there wasn't a second, you can't vote on it, but we're going to allow her to say something. I mean, nobody in the room can't say anything about it.
I don't want to necessarily give you a guess. I don't want to take a guess, Councilman. What I would probably say is that if the council president had agreed to poll members of council as to which they wish to be heard on it, then that might have been different. But she chose to move the agenda. Like I said, I'm kind of, you know, at a loss right now. Like I said, the only thing I can tell you is the code is silent as to it. But I'll get with Mr. Smith and we'll try to have a better answer for you during the week.
I can.
Thank you, sir.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Welcome to the City of Orange Township. You're watching Channel 35, the City of Orange Township's municipal and educational access channel. Reading takes you places you've never been. Use this website, www.njlibraries.org, to find the library nearest you. Your local public library, a great place to visit. This website is sponsored by the New Jersey State Library. Welcome to the City of Orange Township. You're watching Channel 35, the City of Orange Township's municipal and educational access channel. Weather is next. Your current conditions. Today's outlook. Tonight's forecast. The 7-day forecast. Welcome to the City of Orange Township. You're watching Channel 35, the City of Orange Township's municipal and educational access channel.
Faster than searching the World Wide Web. More inspiring than a half-calf mocha latte. Able to answer any question with insight and detail. This superhero of knowledge can find the answer to any question no matter what the problem. And she works in your neighborhood at your public library. When you need to know, get to know your library. Log on to njlibraries.org.
Welcome to the City of Orange Township. You're watching Channel 35, the City of Orange Township's municipal and educational access channel. Weather is next. Your current conditions. Today's outlook. Tonight's forecast. The 7-day forecast.